All right, welcome to math class. Today, guys, it's Friday, April 16th. Today's lesson, we're going to do dot plots and frequency tables. If you're doing this from home, please watch the video before you try to do the homework. You guys keep trying to cheat, not watch the lesson, and just answer the questions. Then you say to me, I don't get it. And I say, did you watch the video? No. Okay, then. All right, so let's get started. Make sure you have your highlighters out today. We will not be putting any notes in our composition books today, but we will on Monday when we go back and we reteach yesterday's lesson. So here we go. Remember when we first started talking about statistics, what we said was you take a great big amount of data, and instead of just giving you a list of numbers and numbers and numbers and numbers and numbers, I want to put it into some kind of visual so that you can see what the data looks like and you look for trends. And that's what I did when I studied your IXL diagnostics. I looked for trends. I actually did a tally sheet. And I went through every single sixth grader, and every single time measurement was the lowest score for that student, I made a tally mark. And by the time I got to the end, and then I did it for fractions, and I did it for algebra, and I did it for numbers, and by the time I got to the end, it was very obvious to me where we needed to focus. So that's the purpose of putting together some visual to study data. So let's take a look here. It says for us to create a dot plot. Oh, I'm sorry. A dot plot is a visual display. So visual means I can see it. Display means I'm going to put something together to look at, right? So if you go to Macy's, my favorite place to shop, they have all these displays. They put together outfits, and then you can kind of see it, you know, that sort of thing. So a display is anything, anytime you put something together to look at. Yes?
So, like mannequins where people put on the same outfit and just stand there and scare their boss?
Yeah, I can see you doing that.
Say.
Okay, quickly survey the room with the following question. We're going to have to make an adjustment to this question. Guys, listen. We did this exact question first hour, and it was a catastrophe. Because look at the question they asked. Survey the room with the following question. How many screens, TVs, iPads, phones, etc., do the students in our class have in their homes? They were anticipating that your answers would be somewhere between 0 and 10. However, if everybody in your family has a phone, and you have more than one TV, and you all have Chromebooks, the answers were like 17, 20, 12. It didn't even fit on the table. So I changed the question. So cross out screens, and we're going to do pets instead. So here's my question. No dead pets. No pets that are in the pet cemetery, just real live actual pets living at your house at this moment. I'm going to go around the room and ask everybody to give me an answer. Got it? I couldn't believe I had to actually say not dead ones. But second hour, they wanted to tell me about all their dead pets. Not time for a question right now, Caleb. All right, here we go. Guys, listen. All right, Dominic, you're first. How many pets? Brooklyn.
6.
Caleb.
That's my problem. I have a pet, but they don't live in my house. They live in my grandparents' house.
Okay, how many?
1. No, actually 2.
Mariana.
4.
Quaid.
1.
Caden.
4.
Parker.
1.
Felicity. What?
Wow.
I had a feeling somebody was going to do that. I'm going to put 10 plus down here. Write 10 plus. So anything over 10. Anything over 10 is going to go down here. James.
5.
Peyton.
2.
Olivia. What?
10.
Okay. Ethan.
1.
See how when you get to 5, you cross it over? That way when you're counting your tally marks, you're counting by 5s.
Yeah, I'm favorite.
Omari. You should have thought about this before I got to you. Shh. Tyler. Huh?
7.
Okay, Nap.
Does it have to be all inside?
No.
Oh.
Caden, it's your turn. How many?
Oh, 1.
Thomas. How many? Okay. Miss Matthews?
2.
Jackson? Fix your nose. Ashlyn? 15. Jason?
At my brother's house.
Yeah.
I don't know how many. Because he got who wants to siblings and who wants cats and who.
More than 10?
Yeah.
Okay.
And on my dad's, I think.
And I'm going to count myself too. 0. Oh, Derek, I'm sorry, I missed you. 11. All right. So those are my numbers. They start at 0 and they go all the way up to a plus 10. Yes,
Caleb said he changed his to 2.
I know, but I already marked it down. And at this point, we're just trying to get the idea of how it works. So here's what you're going to do to make your dot plot. Ready? You're going to start with the smallest number. I didn't space mine very good. I ran out of room. And 0 pets, 1 person. 1 pet, 6. You guys get the idea? Go ahead and finish that up. And then check and make sure I don't screw it up. First hour when we did screens, this number over here was 17. And there was nothing under 7. Yeah, it went to, like one person said they had 20 screens. Because everybody in their family has a phone and everybody, all their brothers and sisters and them all have Chromebooks and blah, blah, blah. Okay, do you see the idea about how you make that, guys? Do you see the idea how you make it? How can I tell by looking at this dot plot if somebody were to say to you, how many people were surveyed? What would you do to find that answer? Quade?
You'd either count the tallies on the graph or
But-
count the dots.
Count the dots. Because you won't always have a tally sheet to look at. Oh, I'm sorry. Here's the other part I forgot to fill in. So count how many tallies there are there.
That's very
So down here on question 2, now that we've practiced making a dot plot, now we're going to practice studying a dot plot. The Ecological Society sampled the green iguana population and made a note of the length of each iguana. The data is displayed in the dot plot below, and they measured them in inches, not yards or feet. They didn't measure them in miles, they had to use inches, right? Some of your measurement lessons in IXL ask you, which should you use, inches or feet? Which should you use, feet or miles? So it's important to realize why they picked inches. Okay, here are the questions. How many iguanas measured greater than 15? Now notice I highlighted the word greater than. Sometimes when you guys get a question wrong, it's because you don't read it carefully. You go straight to the 15 and you tell me 2. How many are greater than 15? So here's my first question. Will I count these 2?
No.
No, because those are not greater than 15, right? They're exactly 15. So I'm going to cover those up and I'm going to say how many are greater than 15, Felicity? Exactly right. Exactly right. What is the most common length? Most common. How would I figure out what's most common? By looking at a dot plot. Caleb?
Where it stays, where it's more the highest and it's more consistent. Most consistent area.
It's not consistency. You were right the first part. It's which has the most. So what would your answer be to that, Caleb? Which one has the most?
And 16.
And can there be more than one? Absolutely. Absolutely there can. Here's the last one. How many iguanas measure between 14 and 18? Notice the word between. Super important. So here's 14 and here's 18. Am I going to count the 14s and the 18s?
No.
No. I want to know what's between 14 and 18. So I'm going to cover all that up. And what's in between? Kaden? Yeah. 7 is exactly right. So the words like greater than and between, circle those. Because those are the kinds of things that you guys, when you make a mistake, it's a simple, just misread it. It's just a misread. You know the math, you're just not paying attention to those words. Okay, here's a frequency table. This is what I did when I was checking out your IXL scores. I made my own frequency table. I do it a lot, actually. A frequency table is a simple way to display how often something happens. Remember, a display is something that you present to look at. Typically, a frequency table is used to organize data. I didn't just want to look at that long list of diagnostic scores. I wanted to dig in a little bit deeper and find out something really specific. The quiz grades below represent students in Mr. Avery's history class. So here's the whole list. As a list, it doesn't really tell you very much, right? So we're going to organize it in a certain way. Over here is where we're going to put the score. Should we start with lowest or highest? Where do you want to start, Dominic?
Highest.
Highest. So the highest score up here is 95. There is 195, so 1 tally mark, 1 score. After 95, 85. 1, 2, 3. 3 tally marks. Why am I crossing them off as I go? Dominic?
So then you know that, so then you make sure that you have.
Make sure I've done every single score, because sometimes if the list is really long, I might miss one of those 85s. But at the end, I'm going to go, oh, look, there's one more. I better go add it back in. After 85, we've got an 80. Only one of those. And then a 75. 1, 2 of those. Lowest score was a 70. 1, 2, 3 tally marks. Does that make sense? Now that you've seen me do this, why don't you do this one? Do this one by yourself. You guys got this. Okay, check it out, see if I made any mistakes. Caleb?
There's 220. Okay. I think.
That's okay, I do the
no,
same.
Actually, the way I did is I did 30, 20, 25, 15.
Oh, you gotta put,
Accidentally.
yeah, I gotta put them in order. You got it.
Well, I put 15, 20.
That's fine. Okay, any questions about that? Let's move on to the last one. This dot plot represents the energy efficiency rating of homes in a community. So back in the day, when we first started talking about climate change, we were not being very thoughtful about how we used energy. We did whatever we wanted, anytime we wanted, didn't matter how much it took or how much whatever. So several years ago, way before you guys were born, they started doing research and says, you know, we should probably see if we can do this thing and use less energy. Then your utility bills come down, and so on and so on. So if you've ever been to Lowe's with your parents, you walk through the refrigerator section, brand new refrigerators, they got a sticker on the front, and it says their energy efficiency rating. So that's what they're talking about here, is energy efficient ratings. So here's the dot plot. We're going to answer some questions. Determine if the following statements are true or false. Highlight the directions so you know what you're doing. It's not multiple choice, pick one. It's each one, true or false. A total of 18 homes were rated. How would we figure out how many homes they looked at? Quaid,
Counting that.
counting the dots. Do we get 18?
No.
Caleb says no.
I got over.
Dominic, fixture. What'd you get, Dominic?
I got 20.
What'd you get, Brooklyn? Anybody else? 20?
20.
Anybody get a different number? Okay, we're going to say there's 20. So a total of 18 homes were rated. Nope, that's a false. Exactly half. So what would exactly half be? Half of 20. What's half, Dominic?
That is 10.
It is.
True.
So ready? 10 out of 20 would be half. Exactly half of the ratings were greater than 66. Highlight where it says greater than 66. So my question is, am I going to count these dots?
No.
No, because those are not greater than 66. So I'm going to say I'm only looking at this part of the dot plot. Count and tell me how many are there, Brooklyn? 10, and that's exactly half, right? We decided that was half of 20, so that's a true. Most common was 66. How do I figure out which one's most common? Ethan? Most common would be what? 68?
Yeah.
The most dots, right?
Yeah.
Right there is the most dots. 68 was the most common. Complete the blanks below in order to make each statement true. The number of homes rated 58 to 64 accounts for exactly how many of the homes. Now, look how they wrote this differently. Did they say between 58 and 64?
No.
No. So are we going to count 58 and 64? Yes, we're going to count that. So between 58 and 64, how many homes? Caden? 6. Exactly right. The number of homes rated greater than 70. Now they put that greater than in there. Are we going to count 70? Greater than. We're not counting 70. Caden?
3.
3 is exactly right. Final question. 50%. Now this is the only one that tricked anybody up. So don't put your hand up yet. I want to ask you a couple questions. 50% of the homes. So how many is that we decided?
10.
So 10. 10 of the homes were rated less than what number? Now, how do you think you would attack that problem? What would you do, Quaid?
Say the number higher than the half mark.
Higher than the halfway mark? Okay. The number higher than the halfway mark? What else would you do? Caleb, how would you do it?
I counted the numbers up and I figured out what number is the one that we have to say is less than.
Okay, and what number was that?
60. I counted up to 68 is the half mark. It is the mark where we have to say 68 is 50% of the scores are less than 68.
Okay, and how did you get that? How did you count to that point?
I just counted the dots.
But how did you know when to stop?
When I got to 10.
Exactly right. Exactly right. I'm going to start at the bottom and I'm going to count 10 because we know 10 is exactly half. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. All 10 of those are less than 68. Quaid and Caleb both got the right answer. Yes.
But wouldn't it be 67?
Less than. Oh, there was no 67. That's a good question, though. Actually, I see what you're saying about that. All right, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. This goes into recycling when you're ready. Please put your name at the top of this paper. All right, listen for directions, please. So we made an agreement last week that we were going to work as a team to get ready for M-STEP, and the team work goes like this. I do my part, and your part is to do recommendations in IXL. So please complete this, turn it in when you're done, and then go find one recommended skill, just one, in IXL. When you finish that, come get your Falcons ticket. All right, go. And Parker Sharp, you never finished your diagnostics. So you need.
It's just that I started working on the fractions and it restarted.
Oh, okay. So work on doing your diagnostics and getting that caught up again. Do the tally marks, bud. It's nice because that's a pretty easy assignment, right? Oh.